Okay, I think the premise of this video is quite self-explanatory. I'm going to be going through these habits and behaviors and ranking them based on what is keeping you broke, that you should really stop doing if you want to actually make more money with your business, surpass the revenue ceiling that you're currently hitting, all of that jazz, and I'm going to be using my 3 years of experience running a marketing and consulting firm to inform my decisions here. Let's not waste any more time, let's just get right into it. Value content. Oh boy. So everybody seems to have this idea that they need to nurture their leads by giving them free value and content that is just giving advice. You do not need to be segregating content that is explicitly designed to sell and content that is explicitly designed to just give information and value in the name of trying to build goodwill. If your content is actually valuable and actually well made, then your viewers are not going to care if you include calls to action and requests for business. People who think that they need to create value content are honestly people who are afraid of selling. You're not gonna absolutely die if you do this, but also this is so unnecessary. Okay, next up we have the endless learning loop. So we all know what this is. It's basically just where you think that you have to know absolutely everything before you go ahead and get started, whether it be the new business model, whether it be the new strategy. You've got to learn absolutely everything, okay? You consume and consume and consume loads and loads of content. But here's the thing. The best learning experiences come from actually doing the thing. You are cooked if you get stuck in this. If you don't do anything because you think that you have to try and learn absolutely everything before getting started, then you're going to make no progress and you're going to make no money. We have doom scrolling. Now, I actually cannot believe that this is a massively popular and socially accepted behavior. The idea that you can just get on your phone and scroll through feeds for absolutely ages and then feel terrible and then hate yourself and have fried your brain, fried your nervous system. It's just insane to me how normalized this behavior is. Doom scrolling is ridiculous and it gives you literally no benefit. And you think it gives you a benefit because you get tiny, tiny little shots of dopamine from random pieces of bullshit content that it would literally not affect your life if you didn't know existed anyway. Stop using your mental bandwidth and wasting it on this, okay? You mess with your dopamine baseline, you can't think clearly, you can't make the right decisions, and you're not going to be able to focus during your work. There is no legitimate benefit to doom scrolling. If you do this, stop it right now. And if you are struggling with stopping it right now, get ahead and download like a screen time blocker or something that adds friction before going onto the apps where you start scrolling. Just remove this from your life, and I'm gonna have to put this in C tier. You are cooked if you doom scroll. To be honest, depending on how much you do it, it might even be worthy of the doomed tier. So just stop doom scrolling. The long morning routine. That is Louis Theroux doing an ice bath. People seem to be obsessed with really, really long and complicated morning routines because they seem to think that it sets them up for the day and it does this, this, and this. Look, I'll be completely honest with you. The best morning routine that you can have is either one of two things. Number one, get up and just get to work. Number two, get up, go and sit in the sun, let your brain recalibrate, maybe do a bit of journaling or affirmations, whatever it is that you fancy, and just get to work right after that. So that should take, the second option should take no more than about 15 to 30 minutes. The longer that you spend doing random shit instead of actually getting to work is going to make it harder to actually get to work, and when you do, it's going to be harder to focus and harder to get things done. And that's simply because the longer that we go about our day and the more activities that we do in our day, this increases the cognitive load in our brains. And when you're weighed down by cognitive load, you're not going to be able to think clearly. It's going to be difficult to actually put in effort to do things. Bad, B tier. And look, another thing to say on this topic, it literally does not matter what time of the day that you wake up. People say, you need to wake up at 5 a.m., you need to wake up at 3 a.m., whatever the hell it is. Everybody has their preferences when it comes to wake up windows, going to sleep. Some people enjoy working early in the morning. Some people enjoy working late at night. It does not matter. That is not the thing that's going to stop you from being successful. The thing that is going to stop you from being successful is doing loads and loads of random, inessential things that actually is just kind of procrastinating your work and not actually getting down to it. Not prioritizing, or more specifically, working on low leverage tasks. In your business, there are certain tasks that are obviously higher leverage, more important than others. When you waste your time and your energy and the best hours of your days, if you are working on low leverage things, you are wasting that. So it's very, very important that you sit and you understand what the priorities are and get to work on those and deal with the low leverage things later. Schedule some days to be maker days and some days to be manager days. Maker days where I'm more focused on doing things like writing out systems, building out flows, working on service delivery, working on content, that kind of thing. And manager things that are more working on the front end, getting on calls, that kind of thing. So just kind of menial admin tasks. When you can group your tasks like that, you will be amazed at what it does for you. You will get more done. Cooked tier, because look, if you're not doing the things that are moving the needle forward, the needle isn't going to move forward. Blaming externals. Now, you know those people that there's just something goes wrong and it's never their fault. It's like the economy or the AI is going to take over in 6 months anyway, so what's the point in trying? Blaming externals is one of the most low leverage things that you can possibly do, because all it does is just basically remove the responsibility from yourself and externalize it, which is not good for getting things done at all. You might as well just kind of take responsibility and develop that sense of agency. There is literally no benefit to this. And look, most of the time when things are going on outside of you, you can't change it anyway, so there's no point even caring. As the Stoic philosophy always goes, you have more control over your internal environment than you actually think, and therefore you have more control over yourself and what you can do than you actually think. So putting the blame on externals is just stupid. Get a grip is probably the best advice I can give you for this thing. You are cooked if you do this, especially as a business owner where your entire job is basically accepting responsibility for the way that things go. Identity and limiting beliefs. Now, this is a big one that I don't actually think gets talked about enough. Here's the thing when it comes to identity. If you do not see yourself as a real business owner, if you don't see yourself as somebody that is successful, is the person that gets things done, then odds are you are going to not get things done. Because if you have such a strong sense of self, and you have such conviction behind your beliefs, things like discipline and whatever the hell become inevitable, because you just simply are the person that does the thing. It's like a cheat code, basically. But so many people try and make things work when having limiting beliefs in their head, like, oh, money is evil, or I'm incapable, or I can't do this, and this isn't meant for me. And what's going to happen when you have those beliefs is that, first off, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to try and prove those things to yourself based on confirmation bias. And second of all, when you believe something, that's going to drive certain behaviors. And behaviors stem from belief, and then behaviors create results. Results reinforce the belief. So you're essentially condemning yourself to stay exactly where you are without ever being able to change. While we are on the topic of limiting beliefs and identity, because I think it's such an important thing, I actually do have 2 videos on the topic. It kind of comes in 2 parts. So first one is all about exactly how to reprogram your brain to get rich as fuck. That's using specific tactics that I've pioneered myself that have proven really effective for me. You won't have heard these before, but they're super, super simple, super, super useful. Make sure to give that video a watch. And second of all, how to control reality like a wizard. It's a bold claim, I know, but very interesting topic and links in very, very nicely to this. And it's actually very, very grounded. It sounds kind of weird, but it's all about the things that we tell ourselves and how that relates to our behavior, and how our behavior is obviously going to relate to what we get done with our business. So make sure to give these 2 videos a watch if you haven't already. As Henry Ford said, the man who thinks he can't do something and also the man who thinks he can do something are both right, because we are all self-fulfilling prophets at the end of the day. If you think that you're cooked, you will be cooked. This is therefore going to have to go straight into the D tier, the doomed tier, because it doesn't matter what you do, you cannot outrun your identity and your sense of self. Here's the thing about motivation. It fluctuates all of the time based on a number of different circumstances. If you rely on motivation to get things done, you are simply not going to get things done. It links in very nicely to identity because, not gonna lie, if you have a strong sense of self and you have overcome your limiting beliefs and you believe that you are the person that makes high-level decisions, that gets things done, then you're not really going to have to rely on motivation, because you kind of just get up and you're driven to do the thing. And that's kind of what I have now. As you go through the day, you're going to have things like energy dips that occur because of whether it be your circadian rhythm, cognitive load, just exhaustion, fatigue, the food that you eat, and blood sugar. Look, there's so many different things that influence how we feel during the day. If you stop trying just because you feel a bit bad for a little bit, your mood is going to fluctuate so much. If you come into contact with a negative emotional feeling or something and you're like, man, I really don't want to do it, that is the time that you actually need to go ahead and get the thing done. As the expression goes, you should always do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Because the truth of the matter is this: if you fold, if you give in to the emotional feeling, then you are going to have to stick with that emotional feeling and you're never going to get out, and actually it's going to get worse because you didn't actually try to get out and do the action that you needed to do, and then you're going to reinforce a negative feedback loop of guilt and you're not going to get anywhere. I'm going to have to put it in the cooked tier, because if your actions are swayed by emotional experience, then you are going to find it extremely hard to actually get things done and stay consistent. And speaking of the matter of consistency, inconsistency. So if you are inconsistent, you are not going to accumulate something called time on problem. Time on problem is the number one resource that you have when it comes to business, because it means you've got experience and you've got authority as a result of that experience. And look, when you spend enough time on something, you are going to get a positive outcome sooner or later. If you are inconsistent with your inputs, you are not going to accumulate time on problem. And if you are inconsistent with your inputs, you are not going to achieve your goals. That's just simply how it works. If you put in more and you put in better, you would get more and you would get better. People worry about whether or not they can succeed at something, but the truth is this: if you show up every single day, regardless, and you get some good stuff done in that day, regardless of the conditions, because the conditions are never going to be perfect, then a positive outcome is inevitable. But you have to be consistent. So if you are inconsistent, I'm going to have to put that in the doomed tier. You have to be consistent. And look, I understand that these things can all drive inconsistency, but man, we've got to get on top of that. So similar to inconsistency, we have shiny object syndrome. This is basically when you start working on something and then you think, man, maybe this other thing, this other vehicle is actually easier to do, and then I can get to my desired outcome by doing that instead. So what happens is you keep switching instead of actually spending enough time on one thing, and then you never actually get the outcome that you wanted. So this is kind of what I was saying before when it comes to time on problem. If you keep jumping ship all of the time, as soon as something gets difficult or seems harder than you thought it was, you are not going to be accumulating time on problem. And that is a very, very bad thing. Because if you don't stick with something, then you're not going to make it work. So this can look like swapping business models. This can look like swapping organic marketing platforms. I've seen people, I've worked with people that literally like jump from YouTube to Instagram to TikTok to Facebook to everything, and then they wonder why nothing seems to be working, because you're not doubling down on something. And look, shiny object syndrome can be applied to all areas of life. It can be applied to relationships as well. Like, if you stick with something for long enough, it gets better. But if you have commitment issues and you have to run away because either you're scared or you don't want to deal with difficulty, then you are never going to actually reach those high levels that you otherwise could if you just stuck with it. I hate to break it to you, but I'm going to have to condemn you to the D tier. You are doomed. Undercharging is where you provide something that is super duper valuable. You don't charge what you're worth. Having confidence in the price that you're selling something for is very, very important. And it's something that I think that too many entrepreneurs don't see. Too many people don't see the fact that they actually are offering something that's super duper useful and they should charge accordingly. Because, and I think this is something I heard from William Brown one time. It's the idea that there are people out there that are dealing with a problem that you can solve. These people will pay any amount of money to solve that problem, essentially. Now, does that mean that you have to absolutely extort people because they really want it? So it's you basically just do like price discrimination? Absolutely not. But the odds are you could probably be charging more than you actually charge, assuming that your offer is actually good. And in the long term, this is obviously not going to be a good thing, because you kind of condemn yourself to feeling bad about your pricing, and then you kind of hold off from doing things like upsells, ascensions, and increasing the price, because you think, like, I'm not worthy of charging that much money, and you install a limiting belief. And what did we say earlier about limiting beliefs? So undercharging is very, very bad. Again, this is completely variable based on the numbers we're talking here, but just, you know, to account for that, I'm going to put this in the bad tier. Like, you're not going to necessarily run yourself out of business, especially if you've got very good volume, but you know, odds are you're probably leaving a lot of money on the table if you've got a genuinely good offer and you're not charging more for it. The unclear value proposition. So this is when you have your offer, but it's not really very dialed in, and it's very difficult for your leads to actually interpret what kind of benefits they're getting if they were to send you a sum of money. So this is something that too many people overlook. They don't understand the importance of making it very, very clear the value proposition that's there and making people realize why an offer is good. This can come down to both just a lack of selling skill, this can come down to laziness, it can come down to many, many different things. But the thing is, before you start worrying about everything else, you need to dial in the offer. If you've ever heard the expression before, you know, just work on the marketing and build out the delivery process later, yeah, sure, but you should be 100% working with a good offer first, because it's going to be very, very difficult to actually dial in your marketing side of things if you don't know what the hell you're selling. Clarity is the utmost essence when it comes to selling, and clarity is super important to actually have your leads understand why it is worth paying you to work with you. I'm going to put this in D tier. I could maybe be nice and put it in C tier, but I'm not going to, just to make a point of how important this is. You are doomed if you don't know what the hell you're selling, and if nobody is going to ever know what you're selling, because why would they buy it otherwise? Maybe just because they like you. And, you know, not going to lie, a lot of influencers do that because they've built up kind of a cult following. So people just buy anything that they get sold, essentially. But again, those kind of things don't last in the long term. And I've decided to save the most devastating for last. Not having a personal brand. To be completely honest, if you don't have a personal brand, you are not taking advantage of the most powerful marketing and sales tool that you can possibly get your hands on. Personal branding is the solution to stopping you getting commodified in an age where there's too many options, stopping you from getting replaced by things like AI and automation, but instead allowing you to leverage that for your own benefit, stopping you from being able to charge more for what you actually offer, and it's making you very, very forgettable to the people that you want to actually remember you, so they actually get interested in buying into your world and your ecosystem. So you should absolutely be taking advantage of the personal brand benefit. You should be designing, building, and staying true to a strong personal brand. Being a NPC goes straight to D tier, straight to doomed tier, especially with the way that the world and the online business landscape is going right now. You are doomed if you do not take advantage of this #1 marketing tool that you can possibly use. Now, whilst we are talking about the importance of personal branding, just to let you know, if you want to take advantage of this, my team and I will work closely with you to help you do so. So if you're interested in taking advantage of this, right now, for a limited time, me and my team are currently giving away full marketing, sales, and brand strategy audits, free of charge. So obviously a massive part of this is dialing into the brand strategy, looking at what you're doing right now, and suggesting some strong improvements personally from me and my team of experts. What is the catch? Because look, I know when something's free, there's probably a catch, right? Well, I can proudly say there is not. The only catch that I can possibly think of is it's not instant, and it'll take us up to 72 hours after your request to get it through to you. That's it. So if you're interested in grabbing one of these for yourself, you absolutely should, because this is a no-brainer. All you need to do is just basically go to the link that I've got in the description, and you can book in a call with me, and we're just going to have a little bit of a chat conversation about where you are right now with your business, and see what I can learn about you to basically inform me and my team's process, so we can make sure that we can create the best possible audit for you. The last thing I'm going to just say on this topic is this. I physically cannot give these things away forever. I can't do it. It's basically crossing the line into paid client levels of treatment, which is pretty insane. So I'm going to have to just take this off the table as soon as it starts eating into my company's sustainability. And that is not going to be very long, because we do way too much for this, to be honest. I should be charging for it, and I'm not. So remember, the link is in the description. Go ahead, check it out. Take advantage of this while you still can. That's not a fake urgency scare or anything. I don't even need to give you one, because this is just genuinely true. Awesome. So that is the tier list. I hope you learned something. I hope you found this really valuable. Remember, there is that link in the description that you can go ahead, book in a call with me, get yourself a free marketing, sales, and brand strategy audit. Other than that, if you liked this video, you might also like the tier list that I did, breaking down different kinds of sales funnels, different sort of assets to include in your online coaching or consulting pipeline. Other than that, I will see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.